Hey, what's up, guys? Nick Risner here from The Disorderly. We're going to get to the recap in a second, but before we do, I have to talk about the news that just broke with this whole Season 2 thing. For the record, I did not watch the video that has all the spoilers in it, so if you're listening to this, our whole discussion does not contain any spoilers. But for those who didn't hear, basically the creators of Westworld have decided, I guess in an effort to combat spoiler culture, they've just released all the spoilers. They released all the twists and sort of major turning points of Season 2. And I guess for some reason they think that's going to... All right, well, I'll say this. I understand the logic behind it. I think what they're doing is, if all the spoilers are out there, then people are basically going to avoid even reading theories. Because actually, I recorded this episode before I heard that news, before you guys are hearing this. There was times where, theories spoiled things for me. Different theories that people talked about in Season 1, and yes, they were just theories. They weren't official spoilers. But people dig so deep into it, it's like, shoot, of course that's what happens. So then when there's a big reveal in the show, it kind of almost undermines that. Now, if you're one of those people who notice that anyway, props to you. But in general, it's the theories almost become spoilers, which is their point. And people have trouble sort of differentiating between what real spoilers are and what theories are and the way it's reported and all this stuff. So basically, by releasing the spoilers, people are going to avoid even looking up the theories. I think that's the idea. It's similar to what people did with Game of Thrones, because obviously, the first few seasons are based on the books. So there were a lot of spoilers. I don't want to give any away to you guys because you haven't watched that show, but Red Wedding, that episode, was this big kind of twist episode, and they basically that existed in the books anyway. So that twist was already out there, and because some people knew about it, people were extra guarded against spoilers. You know what I mean? So I get the sort of concept of it, I guess. But I think what's really going to happen is I'm going to stumble across these things, especially because this is it's not like the book's already out there. This is a kind of a big deal. So what happens basically now is that this becomes a story, and I'm going to be typing in Westworld to find out what time the episode airs on Sunday or whatever. And I'm going to end up finding some twist because it's going to be in the headline of an article or something. And I feel like that's going to ruin it for me. That's the part that sucks. I do understand the concept because, what I think their intent is, I'm not going to go in there and look up theories now, or I'm going to avoid sort of any discussion about it with people who I know who might know twist, because I'm afraid that they're going to spoil something for me. So I get it, I guess. I think it's kind of a dumb idea, but I don't know. Like I said, I haven't looked up that video. I do not plan on it. I feel like it'd ruin my watching experience. I don't understand people who want to know spoilers ahead of time. That sort of mindset makes no sense to me, but wanted to sort of address that because it is sort of the big news surrounding Westworld. And yeah, just when you guys are listening to this preview, there's no spoilers for Season 2 at all. There's obviously spoilers for Season 1. We're doing a recap. But Season 2, there's no spoilers at all. I don't know what got leaked or anything. I've completely avoided it so far. We'll see how long I can be successful at that. But yeah, little disclaimer heading into this. So I hope you guys enjoy the episode. We recap everything about Season 1 of Westworld. Honestly, and don't feel bad. I was talking, you'll hear about. I was talking to Monica. She didn't know certain parts about it. I didn't either. I rewatched Westworld Season 1 right before I recorded this. So I was taking notes. So don't worry, I got you guys covered. I have all the sort of recap, all the important points from Season 1, kind of look ahead to Season 2 and speculate on what we think it might be about. Again, we don't know, so no spoilers. But yeah, I'll throw it to the episode now. I hope you guys enjoy. Here's our Westworld recap and preview, I guess. It's a little bit of both. Here it is. Enjoy. All right, what's up, guys? Welcome to another Disorderly Quickie. This is going to be sort of a transition from Season 1 to Season 2 of Westworld, so it's kind of a recap, kind of a preview. It's both. I'm Nick. I'm here with my roommate, Monica, who has actually watched Season 1 of Westworld, and I think it plans on watching Season 2, correct? Mm-hmm. All right. So just starting with this, and I don't know if you remember your exact wording last time, but it was funny to me. Just in general, give me the briefest recap. What's Westworld about?
Oh, man. It's about robot people in a Western world, mm-hmm. and people pay to go in and experience it, and the robots are figuring it out,
Yep.
Yeah,
that was good. Originally what you said to me was it's about the blonde girl and she starts to realize, which is the funniest description, because I thought there was going to be more to that sentence.
I forgot she started to realize.
She does start to realize, yeah. Which is what you just said, but you said it more elegantly now than back then. Starts to realize, which is true. If you were to give a quick summary, that's exactly what it is about. But I wrote more of a recap. So spoilers, obviously. You shouldn't be listening to this if you haven't listened to season 1 or watched season 1, because why would you? Unless you like just want to get caught up. I don't know. You'd be a crazy person. So if you haven't seen season 1, don't listen to this. But if you have, this will be a perfect recap. No season 2 spoilers, so that hasn't happened yet. All right, so Westworld is an amusement park themed after the Wild West, and it's full of all these super high-tech robots. So like you said, guests sort of come to the park. They pay to come to the park for all different reasons. There's like families there that are going on like horseback rides and hanging out with cowboys. And then a lot of people go for like more devious reasons. Like you can kill the robots and they can't kill you. So people get in like shootouts and stuff. You can have sex with the robots, some consensual, some not. Like people get into like really twisted stuff, it seems like, a lot of the people. And these robots start to sort of become self-aware and realize that they're essentially like slaves and are getting subjected to all this like evil shit. So they ultimately, this is the spoiler part, but I warned you, they ultimately kill their creator and a bunch of other people at this sort of fancy gala thing. That's how the season ends, and it appears to be on the verge of like a robot revolution.
I don't remember that at all.
This is shocking information because it's like, all right, well, don't worry.
A gala.
Yep. At the end, he's presenting his new narrative. It's like this big party. He's throwing all the fancy people, and then the robots take over and like kill them all. Well, then.
Oh, wow. Did I watch that?
You absolutely did.
Oh,
I watched it with you.
Well.
That's all right. So, shocking information leading into this part. But there's 3 main mysteries and twists. I like broke it down, so I'm going to get into all those. But first, so that was your recap of what it's about. You forgot where it left off, but that's fine. We'll get into that.
Who was the creator again?
Anthony Hopkins. Dr. Ford. But he's like the old guy. You know who Anthony Hopkins is?
No.
All right, I'll show you.
The guy with white hair?
Yeah.
Okay.
There might be more than one guy with white hair.
I think he's fat.
Sort of. He's just old. He's just like he filled out as like an old person.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
I'll show you a picture.
Yeah.
But that is shocking information, given the fact that I'm about to ask you for a review. What was your review of season 1? Besides the part that you blanked out. So you recapped it. What did you think? What did you think of the show? Did you like it?
I don't really remember,
Clearly.
But I must have liked it if I was willing to watch every episode.
Right.
At least I thought it was okay.
And by the way, I didn't really, I rewatched it. Like, I don't really remember most of it either, so I rewatched it just to prepare for this, because I feel like it's my job.
It's not just
or whatever.
me.
No, and I feel like that's what this whole thing is for. I'm going to like recap it so people who also forgot what happened are prepared for season 2.
Fair
He's
enough.
this guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Anthony Hopkins. He plays Hannibal in Silence of the Lambs. I don't know what else you would have seen. Hannibal Lecter. Anyway, all right. So getting into the 3 main twists, because it was like kind of a mysterious show. So we basically broke it down, what it's about or whatever, and the whole thing with the park, and then the robots start to realize and like try to get themselves free or whatever. I think there's 3 sort of major like plot points or twists. So the first was Bernard. Do you know who that is? He's like
I remember him.
Okay. So Bernard is a robot. That was like a big twist. It was like a secret. He was supposed to be like the head of engineering. Did you forget that too?
Yeah.
All right. So this is important. We've got to tell other people about this twist. So don't worry. I recently watched the season. So
you're up to date.
Yeah, I'll give people the information they need. So Bernard was a robot. They found out.
Yeah, that was sad, I think.
When he found out he wasn't real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I remember being sad.
Yeah, I don't know how much you remember about this, but he had like the son that had died of like some sort of sickness too, but that was like a fake memory that was planted in his head and like all this stuff. Yeah. So Bernard, so originally the park was created by Dr. Ford, who's Anthony Hopkins, the old guy, and then this guy Arnold. And Arnold's like a really mysterious, no one really knew much about him. They actually like wiped him from the records or whatever. And then you find out that Arnold co-created the park. Some people know, some people don't. And then you find out that he died in the park. And the story is that he fell off like a large thing or whatever and killed himself. That was like the story, and people like either killed himself because he was like troubled, or it was an accident. They don't really get into it, but you just know he like dies in the park. And that's that. What you find out is that he actually did sort of kill himself, and we'll get into that later, the reasons why or whatever. But Ford, after Arnold died, his partner, Ford built like a robot version of Arnold, and that's who Bernard is. So he like rebuilt his friend to look just like him and gave him the same sort of like Arnold's actual son died of a sickness, so he like used that same sort of memory to like try to recreate who Arnold is, and he made him like the head of engineering. But nobody else knows he's a robot. Nobody. Like Ford built him on his own. Nobody else knows Arnold's a robot, which is important. That comes into play later.
Arnold or Bernard?
Bernard, sorry.
Okay.
Arnold's actually dead.
Okay.
So he like built a robot version of his old partner, basically. Nobody else knows that guy's a robot. That's like important later. But all I know you forgot, or you do remember now, I guess, that Bernard's a robot. Did you? That's a tough question, I guess, because I don't know how much you remember. Did you see that coming? Did you see that twist coming, or do you not even remember?
I don't remember.
Right, because
I don't want to get ahead.
No, ask questions.
Who is McPoyle? Wasn't he someone?
Yes,
or something?
We'll get to that too.
Okay.
All right. So that's Bernard. That was the big twist. A lot of people saw that coming, I guess. It actually reminded me of you getting the Sixth Sense, another Disorderly we did. Not Disorderly, Clueless review. That's what that was. But you getting that twist where it's it's all about dead people, so clearly someone's got to be dead. It's almost kind of predictable where it's all right, these are all very lifelike robots or whatever, and they look like real people. So it wouldn't be surprised if one of the humans is a robot or one of the robots is a human or some sort of twist like that. So I wasn't really looking for it. I think I heard the theory beforehand, so I got spoiled a little bit early for me, but that was a big twist, I guess. And it does play into the future, but that's the first part. The second sort of thing, the maze. Now this is actually the name of the season. Season 1's called The Maze. I didn't know they had titles for seasons, but this show does. We'll get into the next season title too, because that's already released. And speculate, I guess. But so this is The Maze, and it's all about consciousness. So basically, this is going to take a little while to explain, but I made notes. So basically, Arnold believed that the robots were conscious, and therefore they were almost like real people. So it was inhumane to have them in this park. And Ford believed that no, they're not. They're just robots. So let's open the park. It's a fundamental disagreement between the two creators or whatever. So Arnold originally described consciousness as a pyramid. It's built on memories, and then the ability to improv, and then to make sort of choices in your own self-interest, and then the last little step is being a fully conscious human being, and he couldn't figure out what the difference was, and it was a pyramid. Then he realized that it's not a pyramid, it's a maze, and you start on the outside, and then each step goes inward, and this whole thing was the journey to consciousness is not upward, it's inward. It's getting to understand yourself or whatever. So that was the whole thing. He realized that Dolores, one of the original robots, remember her, the blonde girl? So yeah. Dolores, he basically did this whole thing where he set up this game to get her to the center of the maze, and then if she gets to the center of the maze, then she realizes that she's conscious, and if she can do that, it proves to Arnold all right, these robots are conscious, we can't open the park. So she finally does it, which is she wins the game or whatever, and they realize they're conscious, so he runs and tells Ford, and Ford says, tough shit, I don't believe you, they're robots, we're not gonna allow we're not gonna shut down the park because of this, there's too much riding on this, there's investors, all this crazy stuff. He's more of a business savvy guy. It's a lot of explanation. So Dolores figures that out, and then essentially when Ford decides to ignore him and open the park anyway, Arnold's this is all way back, you figure this out towards the end, but Arnold's all right, we have to prove that the robots are self-aware and they're real people basically, and the only way to do that is to prove that they have consciousness. So he has Dolores kill all these other robots, and that keeps happening. But Ford just views it as oh, she's just broken. It doesn't prove that it's conscious. She's malfunctioning or program's off or something. So then Arnold's all right, the only way to really prove that she's making her own decisions is if she kills me, because it's written in their programs that they can't hurt the creators or whatever. It's part of their core programming. So if she can kill him, a real person, then it proves that she's overriding her own programming and becoming self-aware in her own person or whatever, and that's the whole thing. So they set this whole thing up where Dolores shoots Arnold and kills him. That's how he dies in the park forever ago. But Ford covers it all up, opens the park anyway. Arnold basically, when he originally programmed her, he put this sort of programming in her where he can hear her voice. It's almost like inner monologue, but she thinks it's the voice of God or whatever. But she's actually hearing Arnold's voice because she's hearing her own programming. I know it's a lot of explanation, but so basically that voice in her head leads her back down the same journey where she knows something about some sort of maze, and she finds her way to the center of the maze again, becomes conscious, and then whenever that happens, Ford brings her back and dials her back, deprograms her almost, but she keeps figuring it out, because when she figures out, he's you figured this out before. She's what? And she's yeah, you've reached this spot multiple times, so we just keep having to roll you back or whatever. But that's what happens with that. And then the final part, the part you don't remember with the whole gala or whatever, Ford realizes after Arnold dies, he's it's too late, we had to open the park, whatever, but he realizes after some time that Arnold was right, these robots are self-aware. He was delaying to make sure it was the right time, but this time he lets Dolores get back to that point, and instead of saying, he felt that Dolores killed Arnold because Arnold basically told her to, and that's not proof of free will. So he was like, I'm gonna let Dolores make her own decision. Just gave her a gun and like let her make her own decision. And like during the big gala thing where he was like, they had all the investors there, and he's like presenting like the new like narrative or whatever. She comes up on stage and shoots him. That's how the season ended.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. We'd actually probably watch that last scene again at some point, just so you get a picture of it. But
okay.
All right. Anyway, that was a lot of narrative. I even like when I was reading through it, I was just gonna take, but it's so complicated. That's like the entire plot of the show. So hopefully people who are less familiar get that now. I guess the question, just to get you involved in the conversation. So the show kind of says that like, I know you were sort of resistant on this in general. They're robots. They're not real people. But at a certain point, like how far do you have to get in that before they do essentially become like real people, sort of, or can they never be?
They can never be.
But if they know, if they're like aware, if they can feel pain and are aware that they're slaves and are experiencing all the same stuff the same way we would, like what's the difference if it's like blood and organs versus like machinery? If
That's
they like
the difference.
Even if they can feel it?
Yeah.
So do you have sympathy for the robots or no? At any point?
Yeah, sure, but then like their memories or whatever can be erased. And that's not a quality of a human. So I don't
and
feel
they
like
can be like
that
repaired.
bad.
Like if they get hurt, they can like come back.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what? Because that's a big question: is how do you make like an audience care about like invincible robots, basically? So like, do you have trouble?
They have
connecting?
emotion,
Right?
in the show,
And
so
they know
it's not that difficult to connect with them in the show. But when you like pull back and think about it, you're like, they're a robot.
Do you think if, and granted, it's hard to put yourself in their shoes, but if you were like in this situation where you like were, like, you know, certain robots are trying to escape, and so you're trying to like help them or whatever, would you be able to like connect with that, or the whole time in the back of your head you'd be like, what am I doing? This is like a fancy calculator or something. You know what I mean? Like there's no like, yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I would feel bad.
No.
I don't know.
Electric content. So the third and final twist is a lot easier to explain. William, that's the McPoyle kid, the one of the McPoyle brothers from Always Sunny, for those who have seen that. But William is also the man in the black hat or whatever, like the man in black, I think is what they call him. But the older guy, played by Ed Harris, but you know what I mean, like he's like the main villain or whatever. You find out that they're the same person, just like 30 years apart, and they play a lot with like timelines. That was a big twist. Like, because all right, so basically what happens is the whole show sort of focuses on two main like part guests. You have William, who's like this reluctant young like romantic who sort of falls in love with Dolores, and he's looking to maybe buy Westworld, like he has some company or something. So that's the one guy. Then you have the man in black, who seems to be like the villain. Like in the very first episode, he's taking Dolores by the hair and like dragging her to the shed. You don't know what he's doing. He's like scalping people, like all this crazy stuff. And it seems like the way it's shot, that it's all going on at once. Like these two guys are in the park at the same time or whatever. They never cross paths, obviously, but that's what it sees. And we come to find out that it's actually 30 years apart, two timelines, and William is the man in black, just like in the future. Like the man in black is William 30 years older. So that's the sort of situation of it. A lot of people were confused by this, especially watching in real time. Were you? Do you remember? Do you remember like being confused by like the timeline stuff?
It still sounds a little confusing to me, so probably, yeah.
Right. This all sounds confusing. I'm hoping like the notes, like hopefully this clears it up for some people or reminds them of things they missed or whatever, because obviously not everyone can watch the entire season again. But yeah, it was confusing. A lot of people were confused by it. I think it's another thing where I kind of knew some context of that or something. So when it started, when they like, there's a big reveal that they're the same person, it like clicked for me. But it wasn't like, I could see if you like didn't know any of that stuff or hadn't heard any theories or anything, how it would be like, what just happened? Like, why? Because they don't even like explicitly say it. It's like one guy's face like turns into the other, and then she's like sees him, and she's like, what? Like, it's like subtle, which is cool, but also confusing, I would think. Mm-hmm. And it seems like there's going to be more like timeline stuff in the future, I'd say, because it seemed just from, I don't know if this is a spoiler, some people don't like this, but I think it's fine. So HBO released like a trailer for season 2, and you can see. It doesn't really prove anything. You can see that William, the McPoyle guy, and Ed Harris, the Man in Black, are both in the season 2 trailer. Now that could be flashbacks or whatever. Ed Harris is at that fancy party, and the robots like shoot him in the arm. This is at the end of season 1. They shoot him in the arm, and then that's the last you see. And he kind of has a smirk on his face because he was like, "This is what I wanted the whole time." It's like real life, like life or death stakes or whatever. So you see him in the trailer, but that could be like a flashback. Like we don't know if that's like I don't know. Who knows? So we don't know. Ed Harris could have died at the end of season 1. He might not have. We didn't see him die, so that's all very confusing too. But yeah, because Ed Harris spends the whole time trying to solve the maze. He thinks it's like the ultimate game, and then people kept telling him the maze isn't for him because it's not. It's for Dolores to become like self-aware. So, all right. Mm-hmm. Do you feel caught up at all, or are you just like lost? Are you lost? You're my one audience member right now, so if this is too confusing, that's not a good sign.
No, yeah, it's better than not catching up.
I guess so.
I would have been so lost. I don't remember any of this.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I didn't either until I rewatched it. Like some of it, but not really. Like I had to rewatch it, and I was literally taking notes while I was rewatching it.
It's like too complex to remember everything.
All right. So hopefully people just listen to this like 4 or 5 times and tell all their friends about it. But all right. So here's where we left off at the end of season 1. Like this is just very brief notes. So you remember the madam that like runs the prostitute whorehouse or whatever? She's like the black lady, Maeve.
Yeah.
All right. So that lady breaks out. She like tricks those 2 nerdy guys. I want to talk more about her in a second, but she tricks those 2 nerdy guys into upgrading her to like a super robot basically. And she like breaks out and she's on the train ready to leave. And then she decides, even though she knows in her head that the daughter she has and she's not real, she's a robot. It's like part of her programming. It's not her real daughter. She still feels like she can't like leave her there. So she like, because right at the end, the Asian tech guy gives her the location of the daughter. It's like Sector 4, World 3, whatever. And she's like, she's looking at it as she's on the train. She decides I have to go back for her. So she gets off the train and starts heading back towards Westworld. That's the last we see of her. So that's that's going into season 2. All the robots, I don't know if you remember this. They're in something called cold storage. It's like a warehouse, but they're in like rows and columns, and it's like kind of gross looking. That. Yeah, so one of the last shots in season 1, they're all gone. Like they show that room and it's empty, and then those are the robots that like take over at the end. So like it's like Dolores comes out of the woods with a few other people that you might recognize, and then the rest are just like all those robots. So they basically like activated like an army of robots. So that was like and they literally come in there just like shooting the investors and stuff, like killed them all. Yeah.
See, you can't trust robots. They don't know who they're shooting. Maybe
they do. Maybe they're shooting their like slave masters. Maybe they know exactly who they're shooting. You know what I mean? That's like a slave like uprising almost. And then Ford, he knows he's going to die. He kind of sets it up. He's like, now's the right time. Arnold was right all along. I have to, in front of all these people, like get killed so that people can realize that these robots are self-aware. Like they know they're being mistreated or whatever. They're not just like mindless, whatever. So he sets that up. So he's giving this speech and he has like this line at the end. I'm paraphrasing, but it's like something like how it's time for a new narrative. It's time for like the birth of a new people in a time of war, which would lead you to believe that there's going to be like a robots versus humans war, and that's what season 2 is going to be. I would assume.
That sounds annoying.
Yeah, you're on Team Human. I would assume, but also it's like these people are like doing some pretty sick shit in there. Like it seems like these are like kind of crazy people. But that's the other thing is like how many people would I mean, maybe not the first time, but you start going like 10 times, eventually you're probably going to start like stabbing people and shit. Like I feel like if there's no rules and there's no consequences, like I feel like it's like people would start doing pretty depraved shit like fast. I think that's like actually pretty realistic because they wouldn't view them as humans because they're not, but it'd be like, yeah, like whatever, I'm gonna punch this chick, and like what it's like I feel like people would immediately go to like their most like raw like evil impulses, like weird stuff.
Bad people.
But I think yeah. Well, who knows? I think everyone might have a little of that in that something. I for sure, you know what I would do? Well, we'll get into that actually. But I wanted to get a little bit more into Maeve because there's one little interesting tidbit that I liked. So you think she's breaking out and becoming self-aware and like tricking these guys into upgrading her and all this stuff, and then they find out that someone's been rewriting her code the whole time, and you find out that it's Ford, like the guy who owns it. He's been rewriting her code, and it's like escaping. Her code, her like programming is like escape. Like break out, find like take someone in, get them to upgrade you. Go back into Westworld, recruit people. It's all like in her program. So she's like, no, that's bullshit. Like I'm making my own decisions. And they're like, no, you're not. Like they realize that he's like, so she's not. So as far as we know, the only person that's self-aware is Dolores, because that you think that girl is like the whole time. You think she's like, but it turns out Ford's like programming all part of his plan to like, you know,
have like an uprising.
Yeah. So it's like, and she refuses to accept it, but they're like reading through her programming and like every single step, and they even read through the rest of her plan, and she's like the fuck? How? Because it's like in her but she thinks it's her mind. So that part is just crazy.
Yeah.
She's going to have a very interesting, like, now Ford's dead too. So I don't know what her, seems like now she's free, sort of. I don't know. That's interesting too. I feel like she's going to have like a break. Also, she's going back for her kid, which doesn't make any sense as far as like where she was going. It's not her real kid. And I feel like she like knew that, but then she went back. I think it's going to be a lot about her in season 2. But, yeah, so I have some questions for you. But first, what was this? Oh, it's very interesting. So Ford, when Bernard figures out that he's a robot, Ford's like saying like, he's just having like this conversation with this like theoretical conversation. And then Bernard is like, well, I'm just going to tell people that, you know, we're being mistreated. Like whatever. He like realizes the robot is going to like basically like tell people and like free all these other robots or whatever before he like winds them back. But then Ford says, if you were to proclaim your humanity to the world, who would greet, or what would greet you? Which I feel like is a precursor to all of season 2. If these robots are like, we're human, like, do you think humans would be like, all right, like, come on, buddy, get over here? I feel like people would be like, holy shit, these robots are going to kill us all. We have to kill them first. Like, it would immediately turn to conflict, I think. If it happened in real life, no one would be like, I trust you. Like, it would,
right, they'd just be like, shut them down.
Right. But, like,
turn them off.
It's interesting to see how they're going to do that, too, because like the robots can't. There's something they talk about a lot on this other podcast. It's a Bald Move podcast. I forget what it's called, but they do like TV review stuff. And I was listening to it before this. But they can't. These robots can't just like go out and take over the world because what do they have, like fucking 6-shooter like pistols and stuff? Like the military has like tanks and jets. Like there's just no way the robots can just take over the world. Like there's a little group of them, so they almost have to like play along. Which is that's what I mean, by the way, with Bernard. So he was at this fantasy party too. Everyone thinks he's human. He didn't die in that crazy like massacre where the robots just killed all those people because he's a robot too. So like people are gonna be like, they're gonna be like, Bernard, what happened? Like what happened with the robots? And if he like plays along and still pretends like he's human because nobody else knows, and the only guy who knows just got killed, Ford. So it's like he might be able to play some weird sort of undercover type deal where he's like, don't worry guys, I'll run Westworld, but he's like kind of like feeding information to the robots or whatever, you know? I don't know. All right. Interesting. By the way, you are here. Don't feel bad because you are here just to like assist too, like just so I'm not talking to myself because I obviously am the one that did like all the research or whatever. But here's where you can come in. So this is a theoretical, hypothetical question for you. And I know if I asked you, do you want to go to Westworld? I feel like your answer would just be no. But the question is, Monica.
How do you know that?
Well, it doesn't even matter. I'm taking that part out of it. So Monica is on a train to Westworld. All right.
Okay.
Maybe you grab a glass of wine. So they get in on the train. I don't know if you remember. And then the train like shows up in the downtown type area.
Yeah. And
then they get off the train and whatever. And it's like the whole thing is like in that sort of city center area. There might be an occasional shootout or something. It's like very tame stuff, or like, you know, go on a horseback ride or something. The further into the outskirts you get, the crazier it gets. You can like roll with bandits and like rob people and whatever. So, you're on the train and you can maybe grab a glass of wine or whatever, maybe talk to some of the people or whatever. When you get off the train, what are you doing? What are you doing with your time at Westworld?
What am I doing with my time? I would probably like grab a drink with the locals.
The robots? Just like talk to them and stuff?
Yeah. Like check it out. Like see what it's like to like feel like you're in that era. Weren't there Native Americans?
Yes.
Definitely find them. Hang out with them.
Yeah?
That's what I would want to do.
It seems like they're like murderous savages in the...
Yeah, it seems like they're bad, but maybe there's a good tribe. And I would want to find them. I really like Indians for some reason. I've always liked Pocahontas. I just feel like that'd be really cool, you know?
Yeah.
Hang out with them, like sing their songs.
Oh. You would just sing the songs of the Native Americans.
I just feel like it'd be fun. Sleep in teepees, like... Just do everything they're doing. That's who I'd want to hang out with. I don't want to hang out with like a cowboy.
What? Cowboys are cool.
Not as cool as Indians.
What about that main cowboy? I'm blanking on his name right now. I should know this. Guy did the research. Dolores is the robot that like loves Dolores.
Oh yeah, he's good looking. Yeah. I don't know.
Like a nice fella.
Not that I wouldn't be there to like meet a robot guy though. That'd weird me out.
Yeah.
So I'd rather hang out with Indians.
All right. Well, most people I think are there for that reason. It seems like most people are just like they want to have sex with a robot. That's like the entire reason.
Really
for most
bizarre
people.
And weird. Like Like what about humans?
Well, it seems like this is probably a little easier, but it also it's like because they're like there to please the guest. It's just a weird thing where it's like I think most people would take advantage of that. That's what I mean by the devious behavior. I don't mean like all of a sudden most people would just start like raping people or like beating the shit
What
out
would
of
you
people.
do?
I don't know. It's probably the same kind of stuff. I'd want to when I first got there, I would just be curious to like talk to a robot and be like just like test their like conversation skills or something. Like just like try to throw them for a loop, see how they react, and see if they can like how realistic they are. I would just like test that out or whatever. If I'm being honest, at some point I'd probably partake in that aspect of it. Everyone would. Yeah, I believe that you wouldn't, but I feel like most people would at some point.
No.
It's like, dude, you're paying a lot of money for this.
Mm.
I feel like it wouldn't be my first thing, but yeah, I probably would have at some point. You know what I'd really like to do? Do the like bandit type. You know how like they put like a wanted poster up? You had to go hunt down like bounty hunters type stuff. So I'd be like
cool.
rolling with the crew and like have to like break in and like bring the bandit back to jail. That shit would be fun.
Yeah,
that's what I do in like Grand Theft Auto, or like there's actually this game called Red Dead Redemption, which is like a Wild West version of Grand Theft Auto basically, and it's like a huge game or whatever. But like that's what I enjoyed doing, was like going on like missions and like killing the bad guy or like bringing the bad guys back to jail or whatever. Like I feel like that'd be fun. Or even at some point, it depends how long I was there for. Because if I went like for my 30th time or whatever, that'd get boring probably. So at some point, I'd probably want to be on the bad guy side and like rob banks and stuff. Like that'd be fun too. I don't know. I think I would just get like the whole smorgasbord of activities or whatever. You
wouldn't hang out with the Native Americans?
That didn't even cross my mind. That was like and sing songs with them and sleep in a TV? No. They don't even speak English, I don't think. How would you befriend the Native? Would you go by yourself and just be like, guys, like let's just...
Yeah. You said they're there to please the customers. I'm sure they want to be my friend.
Well, I think they're kind of the villains, which is also pretty racist.
Maybe there's a nice tribe that wears turquoise necklaces and will give me one like Pocahontas.
So you want like their goods. You can just go take those if you want. You can be a bad guy.
No.
Yeah, that's what we did in real life.
I want to be their friend.
All right. So the next question, there's only two more. What world? So at the end, actually, this is all based on like a movie that came out a long time ago too, which I've never seen, called Westworld. And there's like a bunch of different worlds in that movie. So it's like Westworld, and there's like Roman world or something, and it's got like gladiator times, and there's like all this other stuff. At the end of this season, and it's kind of vague because apparently this show's gonna go on for like 7 seasons. It's supposed to be like their replacement of Game of Thrones. Oh, wow. Game of Thrones is like 1 season left, and they already have like a 7-season plan. I don't know if that'll work. It seems like it's high budget, the production's really high, the ratings are good. It's like I wouldn't be surprised if that actually goes through with that. They have big actors and stuff. So I don't know where we are. It's not like an exact copy of the movie, but basically at the end when they're escaping, that girl Maeve, the prostitute like lady or whatever that breaks out, she is on the run, and they go through a door, and she sees like samurai fighters fighting, and instead of like the Westworld logo, which is like 2 W's, this says SW, and she's like what is this? Because she's never seen anything like it before, and the texts are like it's complicated, and they don't really explain. That's all we know about that. But the idea is that either there's like 2 options. Either there's a whole bunch of different worlds. Like you think the whole thing's a Westworld, but then you realize like, oh, that's just one part of like, this is a huge operation. Or right now it's just Westworld, and they're like testing. So it's like, oh my God, they're going to...
like a new one.
Right. So whatever it is. In S-World, people have said it's like Samurai World or like Shogun World or whatever. But it's basically like Japanese like sword fighting is that's what they're testing. So my question to you is, what world would you like create? If you could like create a world of robots like the Wild West or whatever, what world would you create? I feel like it would almost have to be, well, first of all, I feel like your answer is just like Native American world.
No.
Okay, all right.
That's already existing.
Yeah, you're right.
I get to pick a whole new world that I make up.
Yes, now, yeah. Because I feel like it can't just be like 2018 France or something. It's got to be like something obscure, either old or maybe futuristic. Maybe that's
what about like underwater world? That's where I would want to go.
Are you talking about like an Atlantis type deal, where you're like, are you in the water? Like, are you like in like a bubble, so like it's dry and you're just like underneath the water?
No, robots can breathe in water because they don't breathe.
How can you breathe?
Scuba.
So you would scuba around with just like robots who are just walking around in the water.
Who live there.
Okay.
That'd be cool.
So you just visit their underwater houses and stuff?
Yeah.
All right.
What would you pick?
I don't know. I didn't really think about it.
Well, you have to pick something. You just put me on the spot. I didn't think about it either.
That's fine. Westworld is kind of a cool idea, just to start with that one, because I feel like Wild West is kind of like that lawless, like it's almost like the only thing you can do with it. I know I just mentioned this, so it's not an original idea there, but I feel like Gladiator Times would be wicked cool to visit. I don't know, like a medieval.
No. That's my least favorite era.
Gladiator?
Medieval era.
Wet, cold.
Oh, hate.
Yeah.
Hate.
But imagine going on like a quest as like a knight or being like a princess.
No, none of that. Nope.
Meeting the princess, saving the princess.
It's been ruined for me.
Why?
Goosebumps. Hate it. Tower of Terror.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wait, what's that other scary thing you don't like? It's not Goosebumps. It's like, or is it? You told me you were like
where
terrified.
that lady eating that turkey leg?
Yeah.
Oh.
You can see that at Disney World like right now if you want. It's just like gross, overweight people just eating turkey legs like that. So that
I just could do without the medieval era.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be cool to like save princesses and stuff though, or be in some sort of like I feel like it'd be cool to be in like a wicked big like sword fight battle as opposed to like a shootout in the Wild West. I feel like that'd be cool if you couldn't get hurt.
Oh no.
Yeah, all right. I don't know what else I want to be in. Like the mafia, like maybe like a mafia type deal.
That'd be cool.
I don't know, doing like the same thing, be like hits and missions, and like the Godfather would be like, I need you to do this hit for me, and you'd be like, all right, like that'd be kind of cool. Although there's not a lot of like fun in that lifestyle. Like you guess you live like a luxurious life. You'd be like rich. I don't know. I feel like Westworld is probably I never thought about this, but like maybe it's just 'cause I've seen it, and we'll see if other ones come up. Like I don't want to go to Japanese world at all, Samurai world or whatever.
No,
Geishas and stuff.
No.
Yeah, I'm not interested in that.
I guess we'll find out.
Sure. All right. Well, that'll pretty much wrap it up. I guess I'll ask you this too. So the Westworld sort of technology, right, with the robots and you go in this world or whatever, versus let's not get into too many spoilers of what happens, but the Black Mirror, like Star Trek technology, where you like plug in and you're in like this video game world. Which one would you rather?
What?
Remember the Black Mirror, the Star Trek episode?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where you plug in and you're like in like a world where it's like a digital copy of someone. Which would you rather visit, or who would you rather? What would you rather like be real in real life? Like there's an amusement park you can go visit, or like something in your home where you like press it in and.
Oh, I'd rather visit an actual place.
So you're walking around, even though you think you would be. Like if you're sitting down in the chair, like I feel like you probably feel everything as if you're like walking around.
Yeah, I think I would rather go somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just different. Yeah.
It's less accessible. I feel like it'd be more fun because you're literally like walking onto a train and all of a sudden you're surrounded by robots in like a real like place.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. All right. That's pretty much it. Oh, and we'll wrap it up with this, I guess. So season 1 was called The Maze. Season 2, I don't know, once again, if for some reason you don't want to know what season 2 is called, then I guess shut it off now. That's kind of a ridiculous spoiler. Some people get like really crazy about it. Like they avoid that. Like even Nate, like I know Nate, that's why I try to like keep it because he'll probably listen. I know Nate gets really... he doesn't like to watch trailers because he feels like it's gonna like show a clip and he's gonna start it, which I get that, I guess, but then some people don't talk about things that got released in the trailer because they know this. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, season 2 is called, shut it off I guess if you don't want to hear this, The Door. So season 1's called The Maze.
Oh great, it's about that samurai door, you think?
I don't know, you think it's that?
I don't know, I don't remember the scene. I just am listening to your description.
Yeah, they go through a door into like a different, but go through a lot of doors. But maybe it could be a door into like these other worlds, or like a door into the outside world, or whatever. That's all I know. I have no idea.
Yeah.
What it is. Like if you told me that season 1 is called The Maze, you couldn't figure out what they mean. That it's like a map to consciousness.
Right,
like you would never, need it to get revealed. So the door is probably also very obscure.
Right.
But it's interesting. That's what season 2 is called, and it also kind of leads to the fact that they have like this 7 season like plan. I feel like they like know, which is, it's just interesting because I wonder if it's going to drag. It seems like if they have a set plan, then it's going to be probably pretty good, but I don't know. So anyway, that's it. It's a season 1 recap / season 2 preview. I would recommend watching that last scene. I might show it to you at some point, just because it's like just so you see like the last like 5-10 minutes of the last episode, because it leaves off on a pretty big cliffhanger. Like the robot's taking over, but then it's just like it cuts away. You're like, all right, and then it just ends, and you're like, what the hell? I have to wait and I think it came out like a year and a half ago or something. It was like over a year ago. Yeah, so it's like it's something crazy where it's like people have been waiting for a long time.
I don't remember.
Right. And
I'm
it's
just
complicated.
kidding. I probably wouldn't remember if I watched it like a month ago.
I don't know, maybe though. I feel like like your Shameless stuff right now. It's literally, I know it's like super
I'm
recent.
actively watching that.
Right, but I feel I think that it's like such a complicated show. It's easy to forget the details. So hopefully this helped. Yeah, that'll do it. So give us like on this video, ideally. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to thedisorderly.com. We're Disorderly Media on Twitter and Facebook. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Risner. And I think that'll do it. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Bye.